Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Okay, happy Saturday everybody. I hope you're all having a good weekend. A couple of pieces of housekeeping before we dive into the main developments for today's episode. First, recently there has been a spike in the number of scam bots in the comments section. One particularly prevalent issue is a scam that uses the image of this channel and pretends to be me. Just be very careful when you see the icon of the channel in the comment. It may not necessarily be me. Make sure that it's the China Update official channel account that is commenting. And I should say, of course, that I would never advertise financial products or anything like that in the comment section. If there is ever a link of some sort or an address to contact me, there is a channel email which I have in the description. I would never put a link like that in the comment section, so please be careful of that. And the second point is, while we're on the comment section, I try to read the majority of what you guys write down there, but it's getting to the point where I'm getting about 500 to 1,000 messages, emails, comments a day, and I'm missing some of them. I'm missing some comments, I'm missing some replies, but I do try and read most of what is said and most of what you guys leave for the channel, and I enjoy some of the great conversations that you guys have down there. So I hope you will continue commenting. I will do my best to read as much as I can, and it's difficult to reply to everything, but I do enjoy hearing what you guys have to say, so thank you. Now that's a very long introduction, my apologies. Let's move into the stories, and first up we're going to start with the economy, and because it's Saturday, let's begin with something a little light. Flying cars. This week, China's aviation industry regulator, the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, is collecting feedback on a draft roadmap for the future use of unmanned aerial vehicles, in what one analyst with financial outlet Yicai called, quote, a sign that policymakers are betting on the broad commercial and civilian uptake of self-flying drones and cars, end quote. The roadmap provides a peek at how the government expects UAVs to be used in the following decade through the fleshing out of phased goals and targets. By 2025, lightweight, low-speed UAVs will be widely used in inner-city short-haul logistics, and UAV-enabled short-distance passenger transportation will begin to be trialled, the roadmap predicts. End quote. The plan predicts that by 2035 there will be trials allowing people to ride self-flying cars between cities, and packages will be delivered between cities by autonomous drones. Indeed, several Chinese companies have started testing their aerial delivery services using drones. In recent years, several Chinese companies, including JD.com and Meituan, have already started testing their aerial delivery services using drones. Guangzhou-based Yiheng Holdings Limited has also started piloting its aerial sightseeing services using a 2-seat vehicle. The company says applications for the vehicle could include one day passenger services, rescue, and even firefighting. Domestic skeptics argue that the space is still in its infancy and suspect that we may simply be seeing a fad with some of these private company ventures. However, with policymakers looking at building a regulatory environment for the would-be industry, at least they see some potential. And who knows, perhaps we will see some breakthroughs in the area in the coming years. Next up, and while we're still looking to the skies, China is using 2 massive drones to seed rain clouds in Sichuan province to try and end the drought which has devastated the region these last few weeks, hitting power generation, industry, and crops. According to state media, on Thursday morning, the China Meteorological Administration launched drones which will cover an area of 6,000 square kilometers by the time the operation ends this coming Monday. Seeding drops ice-forming agents into clouds that already contain moisture. Rain droplets then gather and begin to fall. The technology has been used often in the past in China. Sichuan has already seen a modest easing in temperature and some rainfall over the last 36 hours. However, waterways remain severely dry and hydropower dangerously low. Okay, that is the light stuff. Now let's move on to the more heavy and frankly worse news with the banking sector. Hey guys, if you like what I'm doing with this channel, China Update, and you'd like to help me continue doing it, producing this sort of content every day for you guys, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. This is an incredibly useful way for anyone who wants to go that extra mile to support the channel. If you're enjoying this particular episode, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you so much, everybody, for the ongoing support. Bloomberg reports that Chinese banks, in the face of growing pressure from the housing crisis and general economic conditions, are, quote, employing unusual practices, end quote, to inflate their loan volumes as they struggle to meet government demands to pump more credit into the economy. A concerning development. With borrowers reluctant to take on debt as economic growth slows, some state-owned banks are extending loans to companies and then allowing them to deposit funds at the same interest rate, according to executives at 6 banks who spoke to the outlet, Bloomberg, on the condition of anonymity. The executives also said that other banks are borrowing from each other through short-term financing arrangements that can be dressed up as new loans to boost volumes for the authorities. And speaking of the banking sector, yesterday, Friday, China's banking regulator, the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission, announced that it has agreed in principle to allow 2 rural lenders in northeast China's Liaoning province to enter bankruptcy. The 2 lenders are the latest bankruptcy cases since the fall of Baoshan Bank in Inner Mongolia 2 years ago. Quote, cash-strapped aluminium giant China Zhongwang Holdings Limited owns nearly 70% of one lender through its subsidiaries. Zhongwang disclosed last year that 2 of its major production units face severe difficulties. It was also involved in the embezzlement of tens of billions of yuan through related party transactions since 2019. End quote. As for the other lender, Liaoyang Rural Commercial Bank, 4 of its shareholders were accused of legal violations late last year, and the bank's former head was accused of corruption, fled the country, was repatriated last year, and is now awaiting trial. She is accused of taking bribes and illegally issuing massive loans. To be continued. Next up, Taiwan. Now let's move through this week's developments related to the ongoing Taiwan Strait tensions. This week saw yet another visit from US lawmakers. This time, US Senator Marsha Blackburn visited the island by herself. A member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Blackburn's visit comes after stops in Pacific Island countries, including Fiji, the Solomon Islands, and Papua New Guinea. Meanwhile, Taiwan's cabinet has approved a massive increase in defense spending for the 2023 budget. The plan includes $13.7 billion in proposed spending on national defense for 2023, a 12.9% increase from this year. A cabinet minister told a press conference this week that the increase in the defense budget was prompted by, quote, recent developments in cross-strait relations, end quote. And there is a need to, quote, scramble our military aircraft and deploy naval vessels every time the PLA conducts military drills near Taiwan, end quote. On Wednesday, Taiwan's defense ministry said that an anti-drone system would be deployed next year. The system will first be introduced on small islands near mainland China in response to, quote, threats of drone incursions, end quote. In Beijing, state media continues to produce pieces on Pelosi's Taiwan trip. State-run Xinhua, for example, has a long piece this week called Some Facts About Pelosi's Visit to Taiwan, which lists a set of what the state-run outlet calls facts about the trip. The so-called fact list is a useful source for us to better understand Beijing's official position towards the trip and Taiwan policy generally in a very condensed form. Here are a few examples listed in this state-run piece. Fact number 1. The One China principle is the political foundation of China-US relations. The meaning of this principle is clear and accurate. There is but one China in the world. Taiwan is part of China, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing the whole of China. This is the original meaning of One China and a universal consensus of the international community. The United States, while claiming to uphold the One China policy, is in effect using salami tactics to distort, falsify, obscure, and hollow out the One China principle. Fact number 3. Pelosi's visit to Taiwan has nothing to do with democracy. Rather, it is a political stunt and serious provocation that infringes upon China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Fact number 4. It is the US and the Taiwan independent separatist forces that are changing the status quo across the Taiwan Strait and stoking crisis. Fact number 6. It is legitimate and lawful for the Chinese military to conduct military exercises and training in the waters near China's Taiwan Island. Fact number 8. The Taiwan question and the Ukraine issue are different in nature. Taiwan is not and has never been a country. End quote. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday.